And the day has finally arrived, the 14th of March, and it's Professional Speakers Celebration Day. Hello, everybody. We are the professional speakers of Southern Africa. And the only reason I'm opening is that I am the Global Speaker Federation representative for the professional speakers of Southern Africa. My goodness gracious, isn't that a big mouthful? So I'm hugely enthusiastic because this is our third Professional Speaker Celebration Day. And Dr. John Mollador, who started it 3 years ago, I was working still on the board then under his presidency. And I think it's a brainchild. It's a brainchild of saying, right, let's take that Caveat Robert quote. He was one of the co-founders of the National Speakers Association. And what did he say? He said, don't worry about how we divide up the pie. There's enough for everybody. Let's just make the pie bigger. And that's exactly what we want to do. But I thought I'd just introduce PSASA because not a lot of people around the world know about us and know some really good things about us. I was president in 2020, the dreaded COVID year. And I have to say it was a tough year, but it was a beautiful year for PSASA because we have got 4 chapters, geographic areas. And if you don't know South Africa, these are them: Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, and Durban. And then we've got a 5th chapter, which is our virtual chapter. So we want to make the pie bigger. If you go to any one of our 4 city chapters, you can go to the first meeting for free. And then if you attend our virtual chapter, you can also go for free. So we really want to bring people into this industry sector. We nurture our speakers, trainers, facilitators, and coaches. So we've got 3 different classes. People new coming into the industry can go to a launch class. And maybe Mariette knows a lot more than I do. She can speak about that later. And we will nurture you through to how do you become a speaker, facilitator, trainer, or coach. Then once you've done that for a while, you can go to a next speaker class, which we call Liftoff. So Liftoff is you really getting into your business and you're making this a profession. And then we've got a 3rd class called Luminary, when you have been a professional for a number of years. And the Luminary people go, yes, we would like you into that particular class. I have to say that I'm very fortunate and grateful that I'm part of Luminary, and I work my clients' diaries around attending that once a month. So PSASA really adds value. And I'll just end off about kind of, flying our flag high in Southern Africa to say that we have got some beautiful values. And these all begin with C. And the first one is community. And I really feel welcomed, whatever city I go into in South Africa, part of that community, which is fantastic. Our second value is collaboration, and we know how to do that well. So we collaborate when we have our April convention, which you're listening to this in March, still time to book a ticket and get to Johannesburg for our April convention. Look at our website. We have a midterm convention. We collaborate, different chapters host that, and that's normally in October of each year. We have got great competence, and we've got a blueprint to show all of our capabilities and how we can level up. So we really help each other with our competencies. We boost confidence. I've got people that I've nurtured into this association who came in shuddering in their boots, and they're now singing from the rooftops, having written books and speaking around the world confidently. So that's another value. It takes courage to be a speaker. It's not easy. And we really try and help each other to step into our zones of fear. So courage is our value. And then guess what? Southern Africa has celebration as a value. And we know that actually if we celebrate together and we break bread together and we sit around the fire together, we are going to each help each other. And that ladders up into all the other values I've spoken about. So welcome, everybody. And I'm going to, Steve Johnson will be our next PSASA president come April after our convention. So I'm going to throw the baton over to him. And with this question, Steve, we've decided this celebration day to have this overarching theme, African Voices, where impact means legacy. You're a great storyteller. Have you got a short story in terms of how you have helped build legacy in any of the speakers that you have worked with or any of the communities you have worked in?
Thanks, Joni, and welcome to everybody there from Southern Africa. As you can see, I'm from Johannesburg. Um, Legacy is what I talk about. But a quick story: I've just come back from an extensive trip in northern Malawi, where we've been doing work with wildlife and conservation in some of the national parks there. And in one of the villages surrounding it, they've got a scheme going where by helping them increase their livestock, etc., they actually make quite a lot of money and uplift their lives. And while we had one old man telling us the story of his upliftment and what's done for the family, this young man stepped forward and said, "Sorry, but I'm this man's son, but he's forgotten to tell us something." Okay. And he proceeded to tell us, he impeccably, beautiful English, so confident, how his parents, in getting that extra money, had sent him to college and he got some certificate. But the way he spoke, the command, the way he stood there, it just gave me such hope for Africa that young people like that exist out there. And we need to be harnessing that. A quick statistic here: by 2050, the youth bulge of any of the continents will be largest in Africa. Okay, and so you're going to have millions upon millions of these young, wonderful people that we need to get our voices through to, so that their voice can be heard. Um, and so, that's the hope and the wish that, we in PSASA can expand beyond our borders. We're already working in some neighboring countries, but just get to work across Africa and just realize what that young man brought that day. It just really touched my heart. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Steve. So yes, one of the pale lines we're thinking about, using a lot in PSASA is every word we speak today will shape tomorrow's story. So how can we, beyond our borders, uplift them? That was a beautiful Malawian story. I'm now looking to the gorgeous Terry, who's got lovely African earrings, and I've got a bit of African earring envy. Terry, when you think about African voices and generations rising, and Steve's great stat about, the youth and the bulge in Africa, what comes to mind for you and in the context of Professional Speakers Celebration Day?
So the first thing I want to say about African voices is they are not heard, they are felt. We
Yep.
feel Africa's voices coming through every speaker here, every speaker in Africa. We feel these voices right back to the ancestors, and we feel them right back to the future. Well, not back, right into the future. So we feel our African voices, and it is our strength.
Well said, well said. Actually, if we think about the brain, Terry's just so spot on. We all think as speakers, you've got to be cognitively sharp, but that's just the very tiny bit behind your forehead here. The base of your brain is all feeling centers, and we need to feel each other. Who remembers that quote, Maya Angelou? People don't remember what you said, but they remember how you felt. I'm sure I haven't said that quite correctly. George, how you made them feel. Thank you. George, let's throw the baton to you. How are you celebrating Professional Speakers Celebration Day, and are you doing anything different in your sphere of influence?
Yeah, sure. They say the greatest power in all creation is the mind. And as speakers, we speak into people's minds to get them to do things that they may be afraid to do or not think about. And Africa's greatest strength is its cultural and linguistic diversity. With all that diversity, we can create magic. And by 2050, we will be 2.5 billion people in Africa. And there's a huge opportunity there for us, not only to shine as Africans, but to speak into each other's hearts and minds.
Look at spot on, and a lovely stat, hearts and minds, really linking into what Terry said, which is so beautiful. Let's go to the gorgeous Mariette Fisso, who's been so helpful to all of us at PSASA. You're one of the hardest working people I know, Mariette. So thank you for bringing Professional Speakers Celebration Day alive from the Cape, where people are normally quite lazy. I'm only teasing. There's lots of people on this call from the Cape. I knew that would be a reaction. Let's maybe tell everybody that as people in Africa, And especially Southern Africa, we like to tease each other and joke with each other. And we've got self-depreciation, sense of humor. So I'm sure they're not going to hold that against me, but maybe they will. Who knows?
And we always
Mariette,
claim that the Cape Town people are very laid back.
they're
They could
laid back.
actually slide uphill.
Exactly. And they even speak slowly and beautifully.
Yes. Yeah.
They're far more articulate than we are in the north. Mariette, what makes your heart sing for Professional Speakers Celebration Day?
Years ago, I just dreamed of being the speaker, and then I became qualified, and I went through all the speaking trainings you could find, and then I found out nobody want to listen to me because I can't sell myself. And when I walked into PSASA, they started to teach me, oh, no, you need to build a speaking career. And there's a whole business that needs to develop. So I joined the liftoff class in the speaker class for the PSASA. And I started to learn all sorts of aspects of that business that needs to be built. There's something like a client relationship that needs to be established. But before you can have the client relationship, you need to find the client. So there's the marketing strategy and the branding and everything that goes with that. And it opened my eyes that, we just hear about all these charges we can charge. But if you do not have the real business strategy that you bring to the table, nobody will know what you can sell them. And so I make it my task in Global Women Mastermind, PSASA, and wherever I go. I build people's businesses. I go out of my way to build speaking career businesses because that's the only way we're going to hear those lovely voices and feel that African arts.
Oh, thank you for doing that. Thank you, thank you. And that's why I'm in charge of Liftoff, because there is so much more than just getting up on a stage and speaking. The whole business acumen behind all of that is imperative. And because you felt that pain, you are the best person to teach it. So thank you very much. Marlene, let's go over to you. In terms of celebrating Professional Speakers Celebration Day, are you doing anything differently?
Hi, Joni. Hi, everyone. Yes, what a fantastic day. And I'm so excited that I can be part of it this year. I think for a celebration of just being a speaker, and like Mariette said, being able to establish a business, I have taken it upon myself to reach out to various different cultures in smaller towns and also the youth in order to ensure that we can spread beyond the borders of just our meetings that we regularly have. And so at those opportunities, I to speak on stage, I also, encourage and teach younger speakers like the youth or aspiring speakers, novice speakers, and encourage them to join us and to really build their legacy that we mentioned earlier. And recently I've done that in a small town here in the Western Cape called Malmesbury last weekend. And it was just
Malmesbury.
absolutely Malmesbury. Yes, you should actually say it like that, Steve. You're right. And it was wonderful to connect with the youth and just to connect with that community and to see that there is a need within the community for that leadership. Because very often people have the dream, but they don't know how to go about it. And so that's how I celebrate. I give back through language, culture, and training.
Beautiful. And thank you for doing that. That's really extending the heart of actually how we recruit people in. But even if they never become a speaker, you've increased their confidence and they will go and do whatever they need to do to make a difference in their communities. Beautiful. Let's go to Claudio. Claudio, so you have also been greatly helpful with Professional Speakers Celebration Day for Southern Africa. What are you doing anything differently to make sure that we make this pie a bigger pie? Because there's enough for everybody.
Thank you, Joni, and hello to everybody. So we focus on the celebration, which you mentioned is a core value of PSASA, but there's also a community and collaboration. And for me, it's, of course, the confidence and the courage. They all tie in. And if I just look at the philosophy which was taught to me over a number of years about we've got to harness our superpower, our power, which is our speaking ability, you said articulate, and so forth, but also our positioning. And in my time in the military, I was always taught that power plus position gives you an advantage if you have power and no position. So it's so important to be visible, to have people on people's radar and so forth. It's very applicable in our everyday life. And having a deficiency in one, you can have more in the other, then it compensate. That gives you the edge. But really in Africa, if we just look at our core values, our view of power is a little bit new and still a bit different, where we talk about this connection and caring. You may have heard of Ubuntu. And that's this invisible power which gives us the edge, where we all feel connected and we're all rooting for each other, and we enable each other. And really that's also a form of power which is often forgotten. And that's what I'd like to share about celebration.
Now, what an absolute excellent point around Ubuntu. And I have to say, maybe this is a bit of honesty hour, but when I first joined PSASA, I think it was about 15 years ago. We've been going for 24 years, thanks to Steph Duplessis, who was our founding member. But I remember initially, I felt like it was a very pale male club. I'm going to be very honest about this. So I exited, left. I thought, this is not for me. It's pale male. It's not for me. And I think things have changed radically. Maybe it was just those people at the time who had the wherewithal to speak. And this Ubuntu is such a beautiful message because of, I would say, in the last 8-9 years, the ability to help each other and root for each other, as Claudia has just said, has come to the fore. And people don't have any kind of hierarchical stigma. You've been speaking for 20 years or you've been speaking for 20 months. There is that at all of our chapter meetings, we give exposure to each other. There's very alive chapter meeting WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups. And there's so much support, whether you're going to do a talk at a school, whether you're doing any kind of give back. This mutual support and Ubuntu is a lovely Africanism that we have, and we have embraced it in our association. Steve, it sounded like you wanted to build on what I said, did you?
Yeah, very much so, Joni, in that I do the orientation session once a month for all of our new members. And I stress in that every time that this is not about me. Okay, it's not about I. We're a family. We are a network of people, and I don't know a single person in our association that doesn't willingly give of their time and help lift other people up and nurture them and push them onto the stage and help them get their careers going willingly for no reward. And it's just such a beautiful kind of group of people that I've never seen it before. We really are a family, and I think what you were just saying there, this Ubuntu thing, is that we are who we are because of who we are with and among. Okay, so it's a family, and that's what we're celebrating today. Southern Africa's family.
That's what we're celebrating. Terry, I'm going to come to you now, but I'm going to give a very short war story. The other day, I was at a big banking client corporate conference, and what the lady that introduced me was wonderful, just so eloquent and so lovely. And I thought this lady should be running a parallel life, working in the bank, and she should be becoming a speaker. So I went to her tea time. Her name is Lucretia. You don't know what bank. We've got thousands of people. I said, Lucretia, can I say something to you? The way you introduced me with warmth, and Terry, you mentioned the feeling word earlier, with such feeling and depth and humility and humor. I mean, it was just like a recipe for success. Have you ever thought about being a speaker? Do you know, she burst into tears. She said, Joni, I lost my mother 6 months ago, and my mother always said to me, Lucretia, you will be a brilliant speaker. And she said, I want to do this to honor my mother, but I'm trapped in this corporate field now. How can I possibly do this? I said, you can easily run a parallel track. You come to PSASA Johannesburg chapter meetings. You go and start speaking at schools for free. You do all sorts of things. And then when your speaking business overtakes your banking salary, then you hop ship and you leave the bank. She said, could I really do that? I said, you could really do that. So I think it's also for all of us. You can see, some people they don't have to be linguistically powerful. You can just see they've got a heartfelt message to share with the world. And I think if we all keep our eyes open to identifying those people and nurturing them, as Steve has just said, it will be fantastic.
Yeah.
Terry,
Joni, just a
yes,
quick
sorry.
one.
Yes.
One of the things that I think we as speakers globally, the central core message is we as speakers want to make the world a better place. We want to leave the world a better place. That is central to everything that we kind of stand for.
100%. And actually, speakers often share their values. I have 3. I want to, relationships matter, I exercise optimism, and I want to be mad. And my daughters always say to me, but you are mad. I said, no, this mad is make a difference. So I know I am.
She's mad, believe us, she's mad.
I don't mind being mad. Terry, have you got any war stories in the realm of Professional Speakers Celebration Day?
A war story actually about starting to speak. Years ago, when I started speaking, I would get up and I was incoherent. I would stutter, I would sweat. And really, the support of the people around you who believe in you way before you believe in yourself makes an incredible difference. And last night, me, alongside with 3 other people from PSA, stood on a stage, 320 people in the audience, loads of applause, and you look back and you think how far you've come, but you didn't come alone. You have come this distance because of every single person who has given you advice, who supported you, who's written that WhatsApp, who's cheered you on. And I think that is worth celebrating, that we go together.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry. Now, this is a quiz. Who knows the African proverb about, you never do it alone? What is the proverb?
Something about an African village?
No, if you're going on a journey,
It's one to build
if you're going on a
village.
journey, if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, then go alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve, say it again. We need to hear that again. Say it again, brother.
So if you want to go on a journey and you need to go fast, well, go alone. But if you want to go on a very long journey, go together with everybody else, but it'll be slow.
Absolutely. Too beautiful. And Terry's story is really reminiscent of that. We've got only... Yes, George, please do. We've only got 3 minutes left.
Before we close, and that is, there's the famous quote from... it says that start with the end in mind. Stephen Covey says start with the end in mind. What do we want for Africa? Speaking to that legacy thing.
Yeah.
And therefore, once we know what we want as a legacy for Africa, what are the things the various chapters are doing to get us there? And that is going to be our task as we leave the room, to say what are the things that we put together so that the end in mind, we see it today. I think that's very important.
So true. Start with the end in mind. And actually, we want people who hold each other accountable. We want people, as Terry's just said, to walk the journey together. We want people, like Marlene said, which is really all about the youth and legacy and leadership. We want things that Mariette said. We want speakers who can really manage their entire business and have a sales pipeline and market themselves. So there's so much that we can do to help each other. Let's close out with maybe an inspiring, what is your favorite thing to say to someone? And it may be beyond just becoming a speaker, but they may be deciding to start their own business. And what's the one line of encouragement you would give them? So this is a challenge. So hand up when you've got the one line you would like to say, which forms a little, earworm in their brain, and they remember your one line. Okay, George, I saw your hand first.
Okay. We are what we think about every day.
Yep.
We are what we think about every day. And absolutely true. I live to that. Terry, I saw your hand go up.
I want to say, take that first step. Just do it.
Exactly. No matter how small, no matter how big, take that small step. Just do it. Yes. Good old Nike, just do it. I saw your hand. What's the one thing you would say to someone starting out?
One thing that I have, and I tell a lot of people, is you have to think big to do big. So it fits in with what George says. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Think big to do big. That's beautiful. Mariette.
So in order to have a turning point, you need to take a proactive action that will trigger the change. A lot of us want to change.
Yep.
If you don't take that proactive action, you will never see that change.
Excellent.
Proactive action, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
And I
like
love
that.
the fact that you've got proactive in there, not just action. You've got to kind of get out there and be proactive, not just reactive. Mariette, that's excellent. Marlene, have you got something that you want to say as a inspiring line to a new person, new speaker?
Well, and again, I think it comes back to what Terry said earlier about the fact that we feel and, who we are. And I would say to somebody that's starting out, share that ray of light inside you wherever you go.
Wonderful. Excellent. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Share that ray of light. We've all got that inner ray of light, and sometimes it's under too much mud. We need to expose it. Yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Claudia, you haven't said what you would say to someone, and you gave us a beautiful Ubuntu discussion. But what would you say to a new speaker?
I would say embrace a mindset that's able to shift from we to I. In joining our Fellow Speaker Association, PSASA, or whatever in the world, the we is, if you don't find a mentor, like Toastmasters is a mentor, if there's no mentor, then get involved, volunteer, give, and then connect, and then we'll connect with people, and then the mentor will appear, because we get to know each other behind the scenes, so to speak, but then be able to shift the I mentally, because as Kevin Roberts says, you can have a beautiful intro and a beautiful theme song, but as soon as you open your mouth, it's just you. So there is an element of I also, but having to be able to switch and harness that, the sooner the better.
Yes, exactly.
Great stuff.
Well, you stole what I was going to say, and we don't Africa, Claudia, so that's bad behavior. Is I was going to say that have an accountability partner. I can remember I was pretty much like Terry. I was shaking in my boots. In fact, my vocal quality, my vocal cords froze in one talk. That's how nervous I was. So it's at a cellular level. Is have a buddy where you can phone and say, I've got to give this talk, and it's slightly different to what I normally do. How can I make it more fun, experiential? Have a little story in it. Please help. And everybody, Steve, you said that so beautifully earlier today. So have a buddy. That will certainly help you. And then what I also wanted to say is I want to say that actually when we are having fun, and I tell this to every new person because I'm, fascinated by the brain, is that when we are having fun, we are 33% more productive. So, as Mariette said earlier, starting a business and pipeline and invoicing and marketing, it's not easy, but you've got to have a fun lens on it. And this is great work by Sean Acor and his book, The Happiness Advantage. Have fun, then you are 33% more productive. And it really goes to what Marlene said, that inner glow will shine out of you as well. So in closing is that thank you, Caveat Robert, for making the power bigger and giving us that inspirational line. Thank you, the Global Speakers Federation, for making sure that this Professional Speakers Celebration Day goes ahead in our third year, as I said at the start. And we, as professional speakers of Southern Africa, want to show you that we're diverse, we are vibrant, and we are a community of talented individuals. Thank you, everybody. Let's go out and help the world be a better place with our African voices.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jody.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody. Help put it together. Wonderful.